The twin suns of the frontier world, Arion 4, hung low in the sky, painting the dusty plains in shades of gold and crimson. Lieutenant Aaron Cross stood near the edge of the colony wall, his rifle slung across his shoulder. He was tired, his muscles sore from weeks of constant patrols, but his eyes were sharp. The settlers relied on him and the few human soldiers stationed here. This world was far from Earth, yet the duty was the same: protect the innocent, no matter the cost. Aaron rubbed the back of his neck, scanning the horizon. The colony was quiet tonight. Families were settling in, children running between the modular housing blocks, laughter breaking the silence. For a moment, Aaron allowed himself a smile. He liked these rare moments of peace, but deep inside he knew it would not last. The Drekhal had been watching. He could feel it. The Drekhal were not raiders in the usual sense. They were brutal, insectoid predators who thrived on terror. Tall, armored creatures with segmented bodies and electrified whips made from living biocables. They never struck the same place twice in the same way, but when they came, they always left death behind. Aaron had seen it once before, on another world, and he never forgot the screams. His cum unit crackled. "Lieutenant Cross, this is command. Scanners show movement on the North Ridge. Keep your eyes open." Aaron straightened. "Copy that. I'll check it out." He moved quickly along the colony wall, climbing the guard tower. Dust swirled as the wind shifted, and in the fading light, he saw them shadows on the ridge, too many to count. His jaw tightened. "They're here," he whispered. Within minutes, the alarm rang through the colony. Lights flared, families ran for cover, and soldiers scrambled into position. The settlers were brave, but they were farmers, engineers, miners, not warriors. Aaron knew most of the defense would fall on him and his team. The Drekhal moved like a tide, dozens of them racing down the slope. Their armored legs pounded the earth, and their glowing whips cracked the air with deadly promise. Aaron steadied his rifle and fired the first shot. Blue plasma tore through the night, striking one of the creatures square in the chest. It fell, screeching. But the others did not stop. The colony exploded into chaos. Soldiers fired from the walls, settlers screamed, children cried. The Drekhal reached the outer gates, their whips lashing out, cutting through metal and flesh alike. Sparks flew, and the night filled with burning smells. Aaron barked orders, directing soldiers to hold the line. He fired, moved, reloaded, and fired again. But amid the battle, sound cut through the noise of a child's cry. He turned and saw her. A small Valeri girl, no older than 8 by human measure, stood frozen near the edge of the colony square. The Valeri were an alien species allied with humans, tall and elegant, with pale blue skin and silver eyes. This girl was alone, separated from her family, terror on her face as a Drekhal warrior charged at her. Its whip glowed raised high. Aaron didn't think. He didn't plan. He ran. The Drekhal's whip came down with a hiss of energy. Aaron threw himself between the creature and the girl. The whip struck his back with a violent crack. Pain exploded through his body, every nerve screaming as electricity ripped into him. His vision blurred, his knees buckled, but he did not fall. He spread his arms wide, shielding the girl. "Run!" he shouted through clenched teeth. The child didn't move. She clung to his leg, sobbing. The Drekhal struck again and again. Each lash burned into Aaron's flesh, tearing armor and skin. The pain was unbearable, but he held his ground. His body shook. Blood ran down his side. But still, he stood like a wall. The Drekhal paused, confused. This fragile-looking human should have been dead by now. Yet he still blocked its path. Its mandibles clicked in frustration. It raised the whip for a killing strike, but reinforcements arrived. 2 human soldiers fired at the creature, forcing it back. The Drekhal shrieked and retreated into the shadows. The child was safe. Aaron collapsed to one knee, his chest heaving. His armor smoked, his skin blistered. The girl hugged him tightly, her small hands trembling. From a distance, a pair of silver eyes watched. Serenia, the girl's mother, stood hidden behind a shattered wall. She had been fighting elsewhere in the colony, but when she saw her daughter in danger, she had rushed to help too late. It was the human soldier who had stood between her child and death, taking every blow meant for her. Her breath caught in her throat. She had never seen such reckless bravery. The Valeri fought with skill and honor, but they would never waste themselves for another's child. To throw away one's body so freely was madness, and yet it had saved her daughter. She watched as Aaron, barely able to stand, lifted the girl in his arms and carried her toward safety. His face was twisted with pain, but his human eyes were steady, calm, unafraid. Serena felt something she could not name. Gratitude, yes, but more than that. Respect. Wonder. A stirring deep within her that unsettled her proud warrior's heart. The battle raged on around them. But for a moment, the world seemed to narrow to just this scene. A human soldier, broken and bleeding, carrying her child as though she was his own. The Drake Hall eventually retreated. Their numbers thinned, their rage frustrated. The colony survived, barely. Fires burned, walls lay shattered, and soldiers counted their dead. But in the heart of the Valeri settlement, whispers spread quickly. Did you see him? Some said, the human who stood against the Drake Hall whip? He should have died 10 times over, but he lived. He carried the child as though she was his. Aaron lay unconscious in the medical ward, his wounds being treated by both human doctors and Valeri healers. His body bore the marks of sacrifice, deep cuts, burns. Bruises, but his breathing was steady. Serena stood at the doorway, her daughter asleep in her arms. She had washed the girl's face, calmed her sobs, and now watched the human who had saved her. Her mind was torn. The Valeri prided themselves on strength, on never bending before the enemy. Yet here was a man who bent, who broke, who endured suffering that should have killed him, all for a child not of his blood. Why? She wondered. Why would a human do this? As the medical machines hummed and the night outside grew still, Serena knew one thing with certainty. This human had changed something in her. And perhaps he had changed something in her people as well. The story of Aaron Cross. The human who took the blows meant for a Valeri child would not be forgotten. Not by Serena. Not by her daughter. Not by anyone who had seen that night. Aaron Cross drifted in and out of darkness. At first he thought he was dreaming. He felt weightless, like he was floating in deep water, yet heat burned across his back and chest. He tried to move, but pain dragged him back down into the dark. Voices whispered around him. Not human voices, soft, musical, speaking in a language he didn't know. He caught fragments of English, like broken glass in the tide. Stable, strong. Strange resilience. When Aaron opened his eyes, light blinded him. He blinked slowly, forcing the world into focus. He was lying on a smooth silver bed, inside a chamber that glowed with pale blue light. Strange machines hummed around him, their design elegant and alien. A tall figure leaned over him. Her skin shimmered faint blue, her eyes silver like starlight. It was Serena. You are awake, she said softly. Her voice carried both strength and calm. Aaron tried to sit up, but pain stabbed through his body. He groaned and sank back into the bed. Where am I? You are in the Valeri Healing Hall, Serena answered. You were found unconscious after the battle. My people tended your wounds. Aaron's memories came rushing back. The attack, the child, the glowing whip, the unbearable pain. His hand twitched as if still feeling the lashes. He turned his head, scanning the room. The girl. Is she safe? Serena's expression softened. Yes. My daughter lives because of you. She sleeps peacefully now. She would not let go of your hand until she knew you would survive. Aaron exhaled in relief. Good. That's good. Serena studied him in silence. She had watched human soldiers before, but this one confused her. He had taken wounds no Valeri warrior could survive, yet here he was, broken but alive. You are different, she said at last. The Drake Hall's lash can stop a Valor's heart in seconds. You took strike after strike, and you endured. Why? Aaron frowned. Why? Because a child was about to die. I couldn't let that happen. You risked your life for someone not your blood, not even your species, Saranya pressed. That is not the Valeri way. We fight for honor, for family, for duty. But not like this. Not with such recklessness. Aaron managed a weak smile. Maybe that's the difference between us. Humans. We don't think about bloodlines or honor in a moment like that. We just see someone in danger and we act. Serena tilted her head, her silver eyes narrowing. His words sounded foolish, yet there was truth in them. Foolishness had saved her daughter. Your people confuse me, she admitted. You're not the first to say that, Aaron said. Wincing as he shifted, the chamber door opened, and another Valeri entered, a healer, carrying a glowing crystal. He bowed to Serena, then glanced at Aaron. His tone was cautious, almost wary. He should not be alive. His body defied the energy. I've never seen this. Serena dismissed the healer with a nod, but his words stayed in the air. Aaron closed his eyes, exhaustion pulling at him. Yet before sleep claimed him, he whispered, Don't let her blame herself, kids. They shouldn't live with guilt. Saranya frowned, unsure what he meant, until she realized he spoke of her daughter. Even in pain, even half-conscious, his first thought was for the child's feelings, not his own suffering. She left the chamber quietly, her heart unsettled. Days passed. Aaron remained in the healing hall, slowly regaining his strength. The Valeri healers used light, sound, and crystal energy to knit his wounds. It was strange to him, but it worked. The burns on his back faded into scars, and the pain dulled, though he knew it would never truly vanish. During this time, Saranya visited often. Sometimes she spoke to him. Sometimes she simply watched in silence. She was not used to humans, not used to their ways, but she felt drawn to understand this one. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, she sat beside his bed. Aaron was awake, staring at the ceiling. You still think about the battle? She said. He nodded. Every soldier does. You replay it in your head. You think about what you could have done better, who you couldn't save. Saranya studied him. You saved my daughter. That is enough. Not for me, Aaron said quietly. There were others who died. Families torn apart. That will stay with me. Saranya's brow furrowed. You carry guilt for what was beyond your control? That is foolish. Aaron looked at her, his gaze steady. Maybe, but that's what makes us human. We carry the weight. We remember, and we try harder next time. Her heart tightened at his words. Among the Valeri, weakness was hidden, never spoken aloud. But this human did not hide. He spoke of guilt, of pain, as if they were weapons he carried openly. She wondered if that was his true strength. Rumors spread quickly in the Valeri settlement. Some whispered in awe, the human survived the Drakehall lash. Others spoke with suspicion. Perhaps he is not like us. Perhaps he is dangerous. Council meeting was called. Valeri leaders debated what this meant. Was Aaron a miracle or a threat? Saranya, as both a mother and a commander, defended him fiercely. He saved my daughter, she declared before the council. He saved others as well. Without him, the Drakehall would have slaughtered us. His resilience is not danger, it is hope. But not all agreed. Some feared human unpredictability. Others worried the Valera's honor traditions would be weakened by human ways. Aaron, unaware of the debate, focused only on recovery. He trained his body when he could, refusing to stay weak. His stubbornness impressed even the healers. One night, Saranya brought her daughter to see him. The little girl rushed to Aaron's side, clutching his hand. You didn't let go, she whispered. Aaron smiled, though his body still ached. No, I promised you'd be safe, and I keep my promises. The child hugged him, tears shining in her silver eyes. Serena watched, her heart swelling with gratitude, and something deeper she dared not name. Later, when her daughter slept, Serena lingered by Aaron's bed. You speak of promises, she said softly. You carry guilt. You endure pain. These are strange things to me, yet I cannot dismiss them." Aaron looked at her, his voice gentle. "Different doesn't mean wrong. Maybe your people fight for honor. My people fight for each other. That's all I did, fight for someone who needed me." Serenia's chest tightened. His words were simple, but they struck deep. She had lived her whole life in a culture of strength and pride, yet this fragile human had shown her another kind of strength, one born of sacrifice and care. As she left the healing hall that night, she knew her people would never see humans the same way again, and she knew she would never see Aaron as just another soldier. Something was changing. Inside her. Inside him. Inside both their worlds. The settlement of the Valeri was quiet after the battle, but not peaceful. The scars of the Drekel attack were everywhere, walls broken, scorch marks across the ground, smoke still rising from burned homes. Families worked to rebuild, carrying stone and crystal to patch the wounds of their home. Aaron Cross walked among them, still moving carefully from his injuries. His back and chest ached with every step, the whip scars burning whenever he strained too much. But he refused to stay in bed. A soldier who lay idle while others worked was no soldier at all. He helped where he could, lifting fallen beams, stacking supplies, carrying water. The Valeri watched him with curious eyes. Some nodded respectfully, whispering of his bravery. Others frowned, keeping their distance, muttering that humans were reckless creatures who didn't understand Valeri ways. Aaron ignored the whispers. He had grown used to them on other worlds. Humans were always the outsiders, the strange ones, the unpredictable ones. What mattered was that the people were alive, and that meant the fight had been worth it. But not everyone saw it that way. One evening, Aaron joined a gathering in the central hall of the settlement. The Valeri leaders sat in a circle of stone seats, their silver eyes glowing in the dim light. Serenia was among them, her presence commanding respect. Aaron had not planned to speak, but the meeting was open to all, and he wanted to understand. A Valeri elder stood. His voice was sharp, his words filled with judgment. This human's actions were not honor. They were madness. He risked his life without thought, without care for tradition. What if his failure had cost us more? Murmurs spread through the hall. Another Valeri, a younger warrior, spoke next. And yet, elder, the child lives. The colony stands. Without him, we would have lost far more. The elder's face hardened. You speak of chance. He did not fight as we do. He did not follow the code. He took blows like a fool instead of striking down his enemy. That is weakness. Aaron clenched his fists but held his tongue. He was a guest here, not a Valeri. But when Serenia's gaze met his, steady and calm, he knew she wanted him to speak. He rose slowly, every scar reminding him of the pain. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "I didn't care about your code," Aaron said. "I cared about saving a child. If that makes me weak in your eyes, so be it. But weakness doesn't carry scars like these. Weakness runs away. Weakness leaves the child to die." I stood my ground. "Call that whatever you want." The hall grew silent. The elder sneered. "You dare speak of our ways as if you know them?" Aaron shook his head. "I don't pretend to know your ways. I only know mine. And where I come from, strength isn't measured by how much honor you earn, it's measured by how many lives you protect." Gasps spread through the gathering. Some nodded, thoughtful. Others hissed in disapproval. Serenia's expression gave nothing away but deep inside. Her chest stirred with pride. The elder slammed his staff on the ground. "This is not the Valeri way. If we follow humans, we lose who we are." Aaron looked him in the eye. "And if you don't adapt, you lose everything." The words hung heavy in the air. For a moment, it seemed the elder might strike him. But Serena stood, raising her hand. "Enough," she said. Her voice silenced the hall. "The human speaks with fire, but he speaks truth. We cannot ignore what we saw. The Draco do not care for our traditions. They only care to destroy us. If we fight as we always have, we will fall as we always have. Perhaps there is more strength in protecting than in pride." Her words unsettled the elders. But none dared challenge her openly. The meeting ended, leaving the people divided. That night, Aaron stood outside the hall, staring at the twin moons of Arion 4. He heard footsteps behind him. Serenia approached. Her expression calm, but her eyes intense. "You made enemies today," she said. Aaron gave a half-smile. "Wouldn't be the first time." "You do not understand how deep our traditions run," Serenia continued. "To question the code is to question the heart of my people. Many will not forgive that easily." "I didn't come here to win friends," Aaron said. "I came to keep people alive. If your code gets in the way of that, then maybe it's the code that needs changing." Serenia's lips tightened. She wanted to argue, but part of her agreed. She had seen too much death to cling blindly to old ways. "You speak as if protection is greater than honor," she said slowly. Aaron looked at her, his voice steady. "Isn't a living child more honorable than a dead one?" Serenia fell silent. His words pierced her deeper than she cared to admit. In the following days, Aaron tried to train some of the Valeri youth. He showed them human tactics working as a team, covering each other, using traps and terrain instead of duels. The young ones listened eagerly, finding his methods strange but effective. But the elders grew restless. To them, this was corruption. To fight without the duel was cowardice. To share victory was to diminish personal honor. One afternoon, while Aaron trained a group in the fields, a Valeri warrior approached. He was tall, his silver eyes burning with pride. His name was Raul, a veteran and defender of the old ways. "You shame us," Raul said, stepping into the circle. "You teach weakness. You turn our young into cowards." Aren't lowered his training staff, meeting the warrior's glare. "I teach survival. There's a difference." "Then prove it," Raul growled. He drew his blade, its edge glowing with crystal light. "Fight me, human. If your way is stronger, show it." The young Valeri gasped, forming a circle around them. Aaron sighed. His body still ached, but he could not back down. "Fine," he said, picking up a wooden staff. "But don't expect me to play by your rules." Duel began. Raul charged with speed and power, his blades slashing through the air. Aaron dodged barely, the staff clashing against the weapon. Sparks flew. Raul pressed hard, each strike fueled by pride. Aaron moved differently, dodging, blocking, waiting, watching. He didn't match strength with strength. He let Raul tire himself. Finally, when the warrior lunged recklessly, Aaron sidestepped and struck the back of his knee. Raul stumbled, and Aaron swept his legs out from under him. The warrior hit the ground hard, his blade clattering away. Aaron stood over him, breathing hard, the staff raised. But he didn't strike. He lowered it instead. "Your code says I should finish you," Aaron said. "My way says I leave you alive. Because tomorrow, when the Dracall come, I'd rather have you fighting beside me than buried in the dirt." The young Valeri whispered among themselves. Even some elders who had come to watch looked unsettled. Raul glared, humiliated. But deep down, he knew he had been spared. And spared with purpose, Aaron turned away, dropping the staff. "If that's weakness, then maybe you need more of it." Later, Serenia found him alone, sitting near the damaged wall of the colony. He looked exhausted, sweat dripping down his face. "You risked much by fighting him," she said. Aaron shrugged. "I don't pick fights, but I won't back down from them either." Serenia sat beside him, her voice quieter than usual. "You are changing things here. You are changing me." Aaron glanced at her, surprised by her honesty. "You do not fight for honor," Serenia continued. "You fight for lives. I used to believe they were the same. Now I see they are not. And I do not know which way is right anymore." Darren smiled faintly. "Maybe there isn't one right way. Maybe it's about knowing what matters most when the moment comes." For a long time they sat together in silence, the sounds of the rebuilding colony around them. In that silence, something unspoken grew between them. Respect, admiration, and a bond neither had expected. But the peace would not last. The Dracall were watching. The settlement of the Valeri was alive with rebuilding, but the shadow of the Dracall still lingered. Aaron Cross had been helping coordinate repairs, guiding soldiers and settlers alike. Yet his mind was not at ease. Something deep inside warned him this was not over. The twin suns of Arion 4 hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the dusty plains. From the horizon, a dark cloud of movement approached. Aaron spotted it first, scanning the ridge through his binoculars. "They're coming," he muttered, tension tightening his chest. Serenia appeared at his side, her silver eyes reflecting the approaching threat. "How many?" she asked. Aaron frowned. "Too many to fight with honor alone. This isn't a raid they want to destroy us completely." She nodded. "Then we must prepare. But the council, some will not follow your ways." Aaron didn't answer. Words would not save the settlement now. Action would. Inside the council chamber, the leaders argued fiercely. "We must face them as we always do," cried one elder. "One-on-one, warrior against warrior, that is Valeri honor." Aaron shook his head. "And one-on-one you die. They don't fight for honor, they fight for death. They'll need strategy, traps, and teamwork, not duels."
At!
"You are human," another said, voice sharp. "You cannot understand what we value." Serenia stood, silencing them. "I understand more than you think. And if we do not adapt, our settlement will fall. I trust this human because he has saved my child. I trust him because he is alive. And he shows us how to survive." Some elders murmured disapproval, but none dared oppose her openly. Aaron wasted no time. He began organizing the defenses in human style. Soldiers were grouped into squads, each responsible for a sector. Traps were set around likely approach routes, barriers reinforced, and fallback positions established. He worked tirelessly, moving from team to team, giving instructions, checking readiness. Every step reminded him of the battle before the children, the cries, the Dracol lashes. He refused to repeat mistakes. By nightfall, the Dracol were visible on the horizon, their armored forms moving in dark waves. Their glowing whips cut through the shadows like streaks of lightning. They had learned from their previous attack and were coming with more force, more brutality. Aaron surveyed the battlefield. "Listen," he said to the assembled soldiers and Valeri warriors. "This is not about honor. It's about survival. Work together, cover each other, use traps, and watch your blind spots. If you fight alone, you die. If you fight as one, you might live." Some young Valeri exchanged uncertain glances, but the fear in their eyes gave way to determination. Aaron's calm presence inspired them. Serenia joined him, placing a hand on his arm. "You truly believe in these humans' ways?" Aaron looked at her, steady. "I believe in protecting lives. It is all I need to believe." She nodded, silently acknowledging the weight of his words. The Dracol attacked just before dawn. Their screeches filled the air, chilling even the hardened soldiers. Lightning like whips cracked the ground. Tearing through walls and barriers, Aaron ran from position to position, directing squads, firing when necessary, and shielding Valeri youth who faltered. He had learned the terrain, the weaknesses of their defenses, and he used every advantage he could. A group of Dracol broke through a barrier,
Always.
rushing toward the center of the settlement. Aaron saw them coming and sprinted, placing himself between the creatures and a group of children hiding behind a wall. The whip struck him again, this time along his arm. Pain seared through him, but he refused to fall. Grunted, shoving one of the creatures back, then grabbed another with sheer strength and threw it into a trap he had set earlier. Sparks flew as the alien shrieked and fell. Nearby, Serenia fought with her blade, protecting her daughter, who clung to her side. She caught sight of Aaron blocking a Dracol strike meant for another child, and felt a pang of awe and something deeper she could not name. Again, Aaron shouted to the soldiers, "Cover me! Don't let them isolate anyone." They moved as one, firing coordinated bursts and activating traps he had prepared. The Dracol faltered, unprepared for such organized defense. Hours passed like this, each moment filled with danger. Aaron's stamina was tested. Every movement brought fresh pain, but he ignored it, driven by the knowledge that lives hung in the balance. One moment he saw a Dracol raise its whip toward Serenia's daughter. Without hesitation, he leaped in front of the attack, absorbing the strike across his chest. The energy surged through him, burning, and he collapsed to one knee. Serenia's heart pounded. She rushed to his side, blade in hand, but Aaron pushed her back. "I've got this," he gasped. "Protect the others." For a terrifying moment, it seemed he might fall. But Aaron's sheer willpower carried him through. He rose again, limping but unbroken, and fought with renewed vigor, rallying the soldiers. The tide slowly turned. The Draco, used to chaos and fear, were frustrated by this coordinated resistance. One by one, they were caught in traps or cut down by focused squads. Their shrieks filled the night, then faded as the remaining attackers retreated. By dawn, the battlefield was silent. Fires smoldered, walls were broken, but the settlement stood. Aaron sank to the ground, exhausted. Every muscle screamed, every scar burned, yet he breathed deeply alive. Around him, soldiers and Valeri worked to help the wounded and rebuild what they could. Serenia approached him, her daughter sleeping safely in her arms. "You," she began, struggling with words, "you did what none of us believed possible." Aaron shook his head weakly. "I did what I had to. That's all." "No," she said, her voice stronger now. "You did more than that. You led. You protected. You saved us all." Aaron's lips curved into a faint smile, but he was too exhausted for words. Serenia helped him to his feet, steadying him. Around them, the Valeri looked at the human soldier differently now. No longer merely an outsider or a reckless fighter, he had proven something deeper. Strength was not just honor or skill, it could also be courage, a sacrifice, and the willingness to endure for others. Even the elders who had doubted him nodded in quiet acknowledgement. Serenia watched Aaron carefully. She had admired his bravery before, but now there was something more, a deep, unspoken bond forming between them. She did not understand it fully, but she knew she would not forget it. The settlement had survived the Drakal attack, but Aaron knew the fight was far from over. They would return, and next time, the enemy would be stronger, smarter, and more relentless. But Aaron also knew this. If humans and Valeri fought together, if they trusted each other, they could survive anything. And perhaps, through shared danger and sacrifice, something more than respect was growing between him and the alien mother, who had watched him take blows meant for her daughter. As the first light of dawn broke over the battlefield, Aaron stood tall, exhausted but unbowed. Around him, the settlement stirred, alive and defiant. And in that moment, the human soldier and the Valeri mother both understood one truth: courage. Sacrifice and the will to protect others could forge bonds stronger than any code, stronger than any tradition. The Drakal may have returned, but the Valeri were no longer alone. The first light of Arion IV's twin suns warmed the settlement, but the air was heavy with smoke and tension. Fires still smoldered where the Drakal had struck, and the Valeri were working tirelessly to repair the damage. Aaron Cross walked among them. Every step a reminder of the pain he had endured and the battles he had fought. He was exhausted, every scar on his body a badge of survival. Yet as he moved through the settlement, he noticed something remarkable. The people no longer whispered doubts about him. Instead, their eyes held respect, gratitude, and even awe. He had not just survived. He had led, protected, and inspired. Serenia approached, her silver eyes reflecting a mixture of relief and admiration. She carried her daughter, who clung to her side. The little girl's gaze lit up when she saw Aaron. She reached out to him. Aaron smiled, stooping down so she could climb onto his knee. "How are you holding up?" he asked gently. She nodded shyly, her small hands gripping his uniform. I'm okay. Because you were here." Aaron's chest tightened. Every injury, every blow, every sleepless night had led to this moment. The child's safety was worth it all. Serenia watched them quietly, leaning against a wall. There was something in the way Aaron interacted with her daughter that stirred emotions she had never felt before. Gratitude was obvious, but it ran deeper than that, something akin to admiration, respect, and something she could not yet name. Days passed, and the settlement slowly returned to life. Aaron continued helping with rebuilding, training, and organizing defenses. But his presence now carried a different weight. The Valeri, even those who had doubted him, began to seek his advice. They watched how he moved, how he thought, how he prioritized lives over rituals and codes. It was not easy for the Valeri. Their culture prized strength, honor, and personal glory. Yet Aaron's human way of valuing teamwork, sacrifice, and protection began to resonate. Slowly, young warriors started adopting his methods and training. And even some elders begrudgingly observed that his ideas were effective. Sirenia visited him often, sometimes to talk, sometimes to simply watch him work. She was learning to see humans not as fragile outsiders, but as beings capable of courage, resilience, and selfless action. One evening, after a long day of clearing debris and reinforcing barriers, Sirenia found Aaron alone near the edge of the settlement. Staring at the horizon, "You seem far away," she said softly. Aaron looked at her, his face tired but calm. "Just thinking about what's next. About them coming again." Sirenia stepped closer. "And if they do, will you be ready?" Aaron's eyes met hers, steady and unwavering. "I'll be ready, because we'll face them together. Humans, Valeri. Together, we can survive anything." She nodded slowly. His words carried truth. In his strength, in his resilience, in his willingness to risk himself for others. She saw something her own people had rarely displayed and unshakable. Commitment to life itself. The bond between Aaron and Sirenia grew quietly but strongly. It was built not on words, but on shared experiences, mutual respect, and moments of danger that neither could forget. They began to spend more time together observing defenses, discussing strategy, and sometimes simply sitting in silence. One night, the settlement quiet. Sirenia approached Aaron while he sat repairing a section of the outer wall. The moonlight reflected off her silver eyes. "You carry a heavy burden," she said. Aaron paused, looking at her. "I do, and I don't mind. It comes with the job." "But not just the job," she said. "You carry pain, fear, guilt, and yet you keep going. Why?" Aaron looked down, tracing a scar along his arm. "Because it's not about me. It's about them, all of them. Every life I can protect is worth it. That's why I endure." Sirenia's heart tightened. She had seen warriors endure for honor, for family, for pride, but never for others simply because it was right. This human soldier had done what no Valeri had dared, and he did it without thought for himself. "You are extraordinary," she whispered, almost to herself. Aaron looked at her, faintly surprised. "I'm just human." "No," she said firmly. "You are more than that. You are courage, strength, and sacrifice, all in one. You are proof that a life can be protected, even when it seems impossible." For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. Words were not needed. Their experiences, their shared struggles, said more than any speech could. The next morning, Aaron led a patrol beyond the settlement, checking traps and scouting for any signs of Dracal activity. Sirenia accompanied him, her daughter safely in the care of the healer. They moved silently through the rocky plains, their weapons ready, but their minds alert. Aaron pointed to a ridge in the distance. "If they come, they'll strike there first. I've set traps, but we need to be ready for anything." Sirenia nodded. "And if they try to flank us?" "We cover each other," Aaron said simply. "Always." Their training together had forged a new understanding between them. Where humans relied on planning, adaptability, and cooperation, the Valeri relied on skill, reflex, and courage. Together, they were stronger than either alone, and that strength was not just tactical, it was personal. Every glance, every moment of shared danger, deepened the bond between them. The following weeks were tense, but without attack. The Dracal had retreated, perhaps regrouping. Yet the settlement no longer feared, simply waiting for the enemy. Aaron's presence, his leadership, the visible protection he offered, had transformed the Valeri's confidence. One evening, after the sun set and the settlement was quiet, Sirenia and Aaron walked along the repaired walls. "You have changed more than the settlement," Sirenia said softly. Aaron tilted his head. "How so?" You have changed me, she admitted. I used to believe that strength was only in honor, in skill, in pride. Now I see there is strength in protection, in endurance, in caring for others. You showed me that. Aaron considered her words. Then maybe we're teaching each other. You've taught me strategy, tactics, awareness. I've taught you endurance and sacrifice. Together, we're stronger. She smiled faintly, a rare moment of vulnerability. Yes, stronger. For a moment, the tension of battles, scars, and loss fell away. In the quiet of the night, under alien stars, they simply existed together, two beings from different worlds, united by shared experience, respect, and an unspoken understanding that grew with each passing day. As days turned into weeks, the settlement flourished. Humans and Valeri worked side by side, learning from each other. Young warriors trained under Aaron's guidance, mastering new techniques, while keeping the essence of Valeri's skill. The colony was safer than ever, not because of walls or weapons alone, but because the people had learned to trust each other and value every life. Serenia watched from a distance. As Aaron led a group of trainees through an exercise, her heart swelled with admiration, and something deeper and unspoken, growing desire flickered within her. This human had given everything to protect her child, her people. And now he had earned her trust and her respect. That night, she found herself beside him once more. They watched the twin moons rise over the settlement. You have become a part of this place, she said quietly. Aaron looked at her, a faint smile touching his lips. And you've become part of mine. The words were simple, but they carried weight. No promises of love, no declarations of ownership, just recognition. Recognition of courage, sacrifice, and the bond forged through fire and survival. In the quiet, Serenia placed a hand on Aaron's arm. It was a small gesture, but in it lay gratitude, admiration, and an acknowledgement of what had grown between them. Aaron felt it too, a connection beyond words. Beyond culture, beyond species, they stood together. Watching the settlement they had fought to protect, their bond was forged not in comfort, but in danger, in sacrifice. In moments where lives hung by a thread and one human chose to stand against impossible odds, the Drek Hall may return someday. But they would not face them alone. Humans and Valeri had learned from each other, and through courage, strategy, and selfless action, they had built a new strength, strength born of understanding, respect, and trust. And in the quiet aftermath, Aaron and Serenia understood another truth. When someone takes the blows meant for others, their bravery can ignite bonds that no enemy, no matter how fierce, can break under the alien stars. With the settlement safe and her daughter resting peacefully, Serenia finally allowed herself to acknowledge what had grown in her heart. And Aaron, ever the human soldier, understood the weight of what he had earned, not through victory alone, but through sacrifice and protection, together. They faced the future uncertain, dangerous, but full of possibility.